Hey there, and welcome to today's video. St. Patrick's Day may have come and gone, or St. Patty's Day, but that doesn't mean that that's the only green boy we can celebrate. Today, we're going to be building Link's house, specifically Link's house from Twilight Princess in Ordon Village, or I guess the outskirts of Ordon Village. Now, like always, this house is going to be completely base game. So my issue right off the bat was I could not for the life of me find a tree that the trunk was going to be big enough to actually build the house in it. You're gonna see as I'm building the house that there's quite a bit more issues than just that, but we'll get to it when we get there. If you haven't seen it, at the end of the video I have a comparison of what the outside looks like, but basically Link's house in Twilight Princess is kind of built into a tree. In Ocarina of Time, it's more like a tree stump, while in Twilight Princess, it's like built into the trunk. Now, the first issue right off the bat is there's no rounded walls. That is not a thing that is actually playable in The Sims. And even if I had rounded walls, the issue is still the size of the trunk. I could only make the house so wide in order to be able to accommodate how the house looks from the outside. It's not perfect by any means, especially since we can't build a loft type of area, which we can build something similar with platforms, but platforms were just going to completely end up breaking this whole build since it was already wonky enough as it is. Let me just put it this way. I did playtest it, but even playtesting it, I can tell you right now it's not as usable as you would expect. The stairs right in front are being blocked by the chunks of trunks, I guess you could call them. I'm not too sure what you would call them in this case, but let's call them the trunk debris. Those are actually, for some reason, even though they're debugged, blocking the stairs going up. Now, once you get up, though, everything inside of the house is usable. So if you really wanted to use this house, you have two options. You can either remove some of the trunks that are getting in the way, or you can simply teleport yourself upstairs, which is what I did to playtest the house. Because at the end of the day, I wanted to try to make it look like the house was part of the trunk, not just built around it, basically. Now, as I mentioned, the other issue is just not having rounded walls. I tried to get around that by making some angled walls and putting some columns. It sort of worked, but at the end of the day, we also had the limitations of the colors that we were able to choose and the items. I was kind of sad because I looked forever and there was nothing that looks like something a goat would have. In Twilight Princess, they basically have giant horns. The goats have giant horns, and that is used both on the front door and basically where the nameplate of the house is. They don't have a mailbox per se. I just put a mailbox on the front, in this case to make the house a little more playable. And besides that, it was just guiding myself to decorate the house with whatever was available in base game to try to match what is actually in Link's house. I had a lot of fun building this house, but at the same time a lot of stress. And the stress came mostly from wanting to match colors and items that just don't exist in The Sims. I tried my best. We surprisingly had a chest, so I decided to throw some here and there. But as I had mentioned earlier in the video, a big issue building this house was that the trunk was not big enough, meaning the house is kind of disproportionate, but that was going to happen no matter what I did. The other issue is, for some reason, the tree doesn't always completely disappear. Now, while you can see the whole house from certain angles, it's still a very tricky house. Now, downstairs, you don't technically see it right away when you're playing. Everything is really dark the first time you're in Link's house, since you don't have a lantern. But I believe there was a chest down there, so that's what I added. There weren't any fridges, since I don't even really know if they exist in this world, but I added one for playability. Same with a toilet. I have no idea where a toilet would be in Link's house, but surprisingly enough, it does seem like there is a sink in the kitchen. So I definitely remembered to add that sink. I did not forget about it. Besides that, I was basically guiding myself through other people's videos or the few pictures that I found of the inside of the house. It was quite surprising how little there is of the inside of the house in just looking for pictures. So after that, since Link doesn't have an actual designated bedroom area and there's very little windows, I think the only windows that you actually see are the ones right outside the front door, which at the end of the day would make sense. It's built into a tree. So I wanted to honor that, but at the end of the day, I did want to give this house some playability if anyone wants to download it. So I ended up adding sconces. I believe they fit the bill a bit more than just adding ceiling lights. And I ended up putting drapes pretty much everywhere. I noticed that in the pictures that I was able to find of Link's house, there's actually curtains or drapes pretty much hanging here and there on windows that don't exist or areas that don't really exist. So I decided to use those as basically decoration and put either pictures or sconces or anything like that. I really liked building this house mainly because it felt so cluttered without being cluttered. There's a lot of stuff around, but you still have a lot of room to move around as well. So you'll see in the bathroom, for example, I ended up using some of the crafted items since I thought those would fit the theme a bit more. But anyways, we are getting close to the end of today's video, so let me know what you think about this one down below. I know some items are kind of odd here and there, but at the end of the day, we don't really have any moss, and we don't really have the best colors that match. We don't have a wood-burning oven like the one that Link has, but I did find some items that I believe are a suitable substitute, while still keeping the house playable. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you'd like me to try out next. I think I'll actually make another video game house next time. But I'm not too sure about that yet, and I'll keep it a secret in case I do want to build it later. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great weekend!